Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in on tonight's stream. We got a couple of things to talk about, not much. We'll talk about Cleanspark mining a little bit less here recently in the last 2 days. We'll talk about Larry Fink and with BlackRock there and some of his comments here today from Davos. We'll talk about also there was something else I was going to talk about to you guys about. Let me see if I can find it. What else was it? I think that was it. No, states. The states are increasing in the number of that are looking for SBR. That was the other thing I was going to talk to you guys about as well. And Mara is involved in that as well. So we'll take a look at that. We'll obviously look at what Bitcoin did today. It was down. Miners were actually up today, which was kind of surprising. With Bitcoin being down, yesterday we had the opposite. Bitcoin was up and miners were down. So it's the inverse law of Bitcoin, I guess. I don't know. We'll take a look at what's going on there, and we'll get into a Q&A. So it should be pretty easy as always. As you guys know, as always, please, not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. That's the biggest thing there is do your own research always, right? Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at here what's going on with Bitcoin really quick. There we go. So Bitcoin today was down a little bit. It wasn't down too bad. It was down 2.35%. It closed at 1,000. Gosh, that was a long time when Bitcoin was at 1,000. 103,667.11. We were down $2,492 from yesterday. It wasn't too bad. Miners, like I said, did pretty good here. MicroStrategy kind of followed Bitcoin here as well. It was down as well, but we're down in the new day as also. We're down another 1.4% to 102,222.96, whatever it is right now. Right, it's ranging around that part there. So we're still above 100,000. That's good there. Like I said, MicroStrategy was down as well today. So it followed suit with Bitcoin. It was down 3.03%. Bitfarms was down just a little bit here, 0.6% on the day. BitDeer was down quite a bit. I'm thinking there's probably some profit taking happening here today. 5.39%. Did look better in the morning, and then it came back down, it looks like. Throughout the day, if you look at the 15-minute chart, you can see here that it did kind of go up and then down, and then finally came back up a little bit. So definitely some profit taken in there, I believe. That was the case for it. Not much else going on there. Cypher was up 2.23%. Cleanspark up a little bit as well, 1.64. A lot of these guys were actually in the red today, but they came back up into the green here. Core up another 4.58%. It's had a nice rally here in the last, 7 days or so? I'm seeing here at 6 days. It's been going up into the green here. So that's nice. It broke above the 50-day simple moving average here today. So that's looking pretty good here. Hive was up just a little bit here, 0.96%. Hut 8 was actually down 1%. That one's battling with the 50-day simple moving average as well. IREN was up nicely today. Nice bounce from yesterday. It was up 7.86%, up a little bit more, but they came back down. It is, again, getting close to that 50-day simple moving average. Mara was up just a little bit here, 0.66%. Riot was up also nicely, 3.14% today. It was down yesterday like a lot of these guys were. Wolf was up 4.53%. It is above the 100 simple day moving average right now as it is. Smaller miners were down for the most part, except for a couple. Digital was up just a little bit, 0.27. Digihost was up 0.4. And Stronghold was up 1.26. And then we had the ETFs being up, single digits and less than that as well. What else do we have here? Let's take a look at Applied was up 2.4. Kang was up 3.17. Trump coin was up 1.75. That one's kind of flattening out here a little bit. Yep, let me turn down my notifications here. And what else do we have here? Tesla was down a little bit today as well. It's continuing like a downtrend here last 2 days. Yeah, but it's been going up as well on that one. So that's it on that. So let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick. While we're at it, might as well see where that's at on the 7-day average right now. Once this refreshes, it's down a little bit here to approximately 770 exahash. 30-day average, it is up to, it's still flat more or less. It's down to 784 exahash. So that's looking pretty good on it. And the hash price on Bitcoin here last month has been going up ever since basically January, January 13th. We were at $52. We are still up to around $60 per petahash. So that's actually really good for the miners. So that's not too bad there, right? That's going to follow. If Bitcoin goes up even more, that's going to help also. Okay, some of the news stories that we do have here. Bitcoin's still up 10% for the month of January so far. That's good. We have also the ETF inflows from yesterday. $802 million in inflows from all of these guys. The biggest one was IBIT. which is BlackRock, had 661 million inflows. That was huge there. Definitely leading the pack on all that stuff there. And let's talk about this one here. So this is Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock. He was on at Davos today, and he said that in the last week, he's been talking with some sovereign funds, and they're discussing whether or not they want to put in 2.5%, 5% into Bitcoin, basically, as an investment there. He says, now, if everybody does this and so forth, so on, we could see Bitcoin to like 500,000, 700,000. He didn't put a time frame on this, right? Could that happen this year? I highly doubt that. Could it happen in the next 4 to 8 years? Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility there. But if this happens this year, oh my gosh, I think a lot of you guys watching here would not be watching next year. You guys would be sitting on a beach someplace sipping some adult beverages under a palm tree. So, and I probably would be with you guys there as well if that's the case. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think more down the road, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, I think that might be a possibility there. But you never know. So something to be positive about. If Larry thinks this, and we get the adoption that we're talking about possibly, well, then there might be a possibility in a number of years. All right. The big question here is Cleanspark. Why is Cleanspark mining less over the last couple of days? If we look at their wallet here, we can see that just 3 days ago, they were mining 21.295 Bitcoin here. And hopefully you guys can see that. It's kind of small. Let me see if I can zoom this in maybe a little bit before it gets a little weird here. It's going back 2 weeks. That really doesn't help us there, does it? Let me see here. Zoom out. 17 hours. Okay, sorry. That's the best probably I can do here. I don't think I make it any larger. Let me see. Can I bring this out? Pop it out? Nope. Can't do that. Okay. Never mind. So we were at 21. 2 days ago, we were at 16 Bitcoin per day. And then just the last 17 hours, they got 11 Bitcoin. So what's going on there? Why are they mining less? It's weather related. Unfortunately, it's weather related. And that's one of those things that is going to happen from time to time, especially since we've had this huge Arctic blast coming down from Canada. It was colder than heck in the last couple of days here where I live in Illinois. I had actually my pickup truck that I have get a check engine light yesterday because it was so freaking cold. It went away today, luckily, so I was happy to see that. So I think that's the reason why. But it was just brutally cold here. Wind chills and everything else was definitely cold. Kids actually stayed home because it was so cold. So I think that has contributed to that. And also Matthew Schultz here is stating the same thing, right? One of you guys, I think, asked on, let's see here. One of you guys asked on Discord or something like that, that what's going on with Cleanspark there. I said, I think it's weather related, and sure enough, it is. So Matthew here provides us a little bit of details. As an ordinary function of our operations, Cleanspark, we work with the utilities to curtail. Oh my gosh, my son is continuing to do that. How can I get it to shut off the notifications? Let's see here. So we can go into focus mode. No. Let's see here. Do not disturb. There we go. Okay. As an ordinary function, curtail and when is necessary to support our critical circuits. In our prior earnings calls, we've discussed that we expect to curtail 100 hours plus or minus each year as an average. Temporary disruption in hash rate is perfectly normal, and making sure there's power for hospitals and schools at times like this is why we get such favorable rates. The rest of the time, we're grateful to be able to help. So this is the reason why, and you can see here, snow shatters records. Deep South shuts down, death toll rises from winter storm, and that's the reason why on it. And then you can see that their mining operations here are definitely in like Tennessee, right? They got a lot of locations in Tennessee here. And that one, Jackson, Lenore City, Limestone, Maynardville, Rutledge, Crossville, Decatur, Jellicoe, Oneida, New Tazewell, and Winfield. And they got Mississippi, Vicksburg, Meriden, Wiggs, Clinton, Georgia as well. A lot of locations there. So that got definitely impacted there. So it looks like their operations were down about 50% or so. In a subsequent tweet from somebody else, actually it was Rex, I think, that asked Matt if they're doing any kind of maintenance work at that time. And he provided that, yes, they're doing some maintenance on the machines, the immersion cooling and things like that at that point when they are in downtimes, right? So that's actually good there that they're taking advantage of that. So I have no problems with that. So that's basically why Cleanspark is actually mining less here. So we got some information on that. And then when we look at our next story here, which is from Michael Saylor, every state should have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We now have about 12 states that I counted here on this map that are embarking on an SBR, strategic Bitcoin reserve. That is great news. The more we get states, I think the states might actually front run the United States in getting strategic Bitcoin reserves on their balance sheets here. Just because the states can probably move a little bit faster than what the United States can do as a whole. But you can see we have definitely a bunch of states here around the area. Quite a few, 12, that's pretty good. I think that's basically what, one out of every 5 states now is looking to do an SBR. And then following this, we also have that the largest U.S. miner, Mara, has begun lobbying for creation of a Bitcoin reserve across all 50 states and the federal government, according to CEO Fred Thiel. So thank you to Mara for lobbying to do that. It's definitely going to benefit them in the long run. They have a large HODL position, 40,000 plus. And currently it states here that 11 states are considering bills to establish Bitcoin reserve. All right, so that's fantastic. It's actually, they got 11 here, but we got 12 here. Looks like, what is that, Arizona there? Is another one that's not included in here. So we have 12 states instead of 11 here. So that should be updated as well. But that's great news, right? The CEOs, well, at least Mara is doing it right now. They're lobbying for the creation of Bitcoin reserve. That's great news. We need more of that. Adoption, and adoption is what's going to get us out of these kind of doldrums and lift Bitcoin up to much higher prices, which is really what we want. We want Bitcoin to go up as high as it possibly can, which then makes the miners so much more profitable, which is going to be so, at least it should be, so juicy on our own balance sheet as far as what we have. So I'm all for this. So thank you to Mara and Fred Thiel there for doing that. And hopefully we see some other CEOs do this as well. Take a leading role in discussing with states, especially the ones that they're located in, right? Cleanspark's in Tennessee and Kentucky. If they could kind of press on some of those, people in control there a little bit, then it actually does make sense for them to do it. But we'll see. All right, so that's all I got for the news section side of things here. If we look at I added one extra table here to the sats sheet here today. I added the BTC per exahash efficiency on these guys here for last month. And this just kind of gives you another little metric to take a look at. I think I include this also in the monthly numbers here, but this gives you at least in sats, right? Sats, BTC, whatever you want to call it. So this kind of shows you as far as which miners were mining the most out of their exahash, basically. So Cypher was the number one with 17.3, followed by Cleanspark at 17.08. You got Bitdeer at 17.07, Iris at 17.06, along with Hive here at the same spot. Bitfarms was 16.48, Riot at 16.38, Marathon at 16.3, TeraWolf at 16.29, Core was at 15.23, and Hut 8 was at 13.45. Combine that with what you're getting here for sats mined per share, and you can see there is some differences here, right? Marathon came in number one for sats mined per share, whereas they came in a little bit towards the end here in efficiency-wise, but you're still getting a lot for your shares there. So that's actually looking pretty good there. IREN came in pretty good as well here. And here, Cleanspark, same thing, right? Number 2 spot, number 3 spot there. Riot, number 4 spot, came in at number, what is that going to be? 7th spot here, more or less. But you can kind of compare and contrast a little bit to see where things stand as far as what you're getting per share and what you're getting per exahash as well on it. So that is all I have for you guys. If we look at also where is it at here? Enterprise metrics here. Not much change here today. Not much price changes in the miners today. So nothing really has changed drastically from where they were just yesterday on it. Okay. So that is it. That's all I got for you guys. As always, spreadsheets are going to be available to Patreon members. I did update it today, so I will send this out to you guys either tonight or tomorrow. Link for that is down in the description if you want to get access to all my spreadsheets and all of this stuff that I track. You could call me a data nerd, I guess, if you want. I'm okay with that. I'm definitely a data nerd. The more data I have, the better I think, well, I would think I would do in the market, but it hasn't played out that way, has it? Okay, that's all we got. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here, see what we got going on, and we'll call it a day, see what you guys have questions on, if anything at all. I see some questions already popping in here, so I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Always, if you could preface your questions with a Q and then the question, I would appreciate it. Makes it easy for me to see where the questions are. And let's see here. I think we'll start out somewhere. Okay, I see a question. Didn't want to do that. Let's see. Oh, we got quite a few questions here up top already. All right. There we go. We'll start with B82 here. Okay. Question, will any of the miners that have grown hash rate show profit in 4Q? Some seems once they show profit and forecast profit, then they will start moving. Yes, based on the numbers that I've ran here with the EPS, I put out a video about, when was it, last week I think it was, talking about it, but the possibility would be with the EPS for these guys with HODL positions. Even without HODL positions, some of these guys will be positive in EPS, or at least they should be, based if I use the quarterly results for Q3 and extrapolate that data into what they operated in Q4, more or less. But that's going to depend on how much they put in for share-based compensation, depreciation, anything else, bonuses, things like that, that could offset that quite a bit. So nonetheless, I do believe there's going to be at least half should be, around half, I would say. Around half should be at least positive EPS. So yes, that should be a catalyst that drives these guys forward here. All right, let's see. The question, hi Seb, do you still confident on Cleanspark? Yes, Cleanspark is my largest holding. After that, it would be IREN, and then after that is Bitfarms. But yes, I'm still very confident in them. Next, let's see what else do we have here going down. Next question, okay. At current hash price, how long does it take to cover the cost of the new miners? My estimate is 405 days. Do they last that long before obsolete? Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad, right? You're looking at about a year and a month, basically 13 months roughly. So that's actually really good, right? Typically, what you see with miners is about 12 to, like, I would say 18 months, depending on the miners that you get at that time, where Bitcoin goes and things like that, depending when you also get them. But on average, you're looking at about 12 to 18 months to do an ROI on the machines. So how long do the machines last? The machines can last you anywhere between 3 and 5 years, depending on how they are set up and handled, right? So air-cooled machines, I would say you can get probably 3 years out of them. Immersion-cooled machines, you can possibly get 5 years out of them. But I don't know if anybody wants to hold on to them that long. By that time, they're going to be less efficient compared to the miners that are coming out at that point. So I would say at least 3 years for these things. Why do you think the miners are not following Bitcoin? Even the miners that hold are not following Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we've been kind of hitting our heads against the wall here, is what the heck's going on with these guys. The only thing I can think of, and others have stated the same thing more or less, is the big players are hedging their bets. They're going along maybe Bitcoin, some other things, and they're shorting the miners. We were seeing, quite a substantial short position in Cleanspark and Marathon and TeraWolf and others as well. And that's the only thing we can think of right now, because there's really absolutely no reason why they should be performing the way that they are right now. So that's the only thing I can think of right now. Okay, talked about that one. What else? Let's see. Magical Fly Machine cold is not Canada's fault. No, it's not, but it's the air's coming down from Canada, more or less, from the north. Let's just say it's blaming on the north of the northern side of the globe. Let's see. Do you think Cleanspark shareholders have to worry about their production? No, the production is going to be down for a couple of days, right? We saw a decrease over the last 2 days. I would expect as the cold front moves over to the east that should subside and they should be back up to normal production here. So I don't, it's going to be like a 2 or 3 day event, I think. Let's see here. Miners 5x, 10x from current price or from bottom of cycle. Some of these guys already have done, 5 to 10x from the bottom of the cycle. I think we still can get 2 to 5x on these guys. I'd be happy with that. Right? Could we get more from that? Yes. It all depends where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin goes, nicely to 200,000, 250,000 in the next 6 months, then oh my gosh, yeah, I think we can possibly get a little bit more than 5x. But that's dependent on Bitcoin. Okay. Why are miners a leverage play at all? I don't understand. Okay. So miners can mine it at a much lower cost than what it would cost you what cost them to buy at spot price, right? So spot price is about 102,000 right now. A lot of these guys can mine it actually for electrical cost. You're looking at some of these guys are like what, 30 some thousand, 40 some thousand, right? Somewhere around there, somewhere a little bit higher, but more or less you're getting a pretty nice profit margin there, right? Just on electricity alone, including other things in that, then you're looking at maybe like 50% profit margin. And right now, Bitcoin goes up even higher in price to 150,000, 200,000, 250,000, whatever it might be. At that point, the profit margin goes to like 75, 80% at a certain point. So that's the leverage there. They can mine it at a much lower cost, and their production and their revenues increase so much dramatically because of that. That's the reason why. There should be at least a leverage play on it. In the past, they were, even this time around, they still have been. If you look at where they were at the bottom to where they are now compared to Bitcoin, a lot of these guys have outperformed Bitcoin here. Let's see. Chris P, day trader. Greetings from Glencoe. Nice, Illinois. One of my Illinois natives. Is the current Bitfarms price already reflective of the dilution for the SDIG acquisition, or do you think it will change when completed, just for looking for entries? I think it might be priced in. I think a lot of investors already know that there's going to be share dilution because of that, because you're getting 2.5 something, 2.52, I think, shares of Bitfarms shares per every Stronghold shares. So I think that's kind of being priced in on it. At least it appears that way. Let's see. Neville says, what's up, Seb? I think there is a strong chance that Riot has a potential client for HPCI. That would be fantastic if it does, right? It doesn't make any sense. They would reduce a realistic target for nothing in 2025. Maybe, but they also have, what is it? Starboard, I think it's called. I can't remember the exact name of the company that invested in them. That's kind of a activist investor there. They could be pushing it. I don't know how much say they have, but yeah, I mean, if they do have a deal, possibly, that would be great, because that would definitely make up for why they're not growing their hash rate there. Let's see. W Song says, up in Canada, we experienced negative 24 Celsius last night. Wow. Okay, that's pretty close to like negative, I would say, what is it, 20 Fahrenheit or something like that. That is cold. Yeah, it was brutally cold over here in Illinois as well last couple of days. Let's see here. Super Dynamic Diagnostics, sorry. Is it time to throw the towel in, Seb, with your 100% miner allocation and buy some MSTR before it rallies? I mean, I think MicroStrategy has kind of bottomed out here a little bit recently. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's go take a look at it here really quick as well. Let's see. Go here, and then let's take a look at MSTR. No, I didn't want that. I wanted this. Sorry. MSTR is up top here, 377. I think the bottom was in around 280, 290, right? That was a pretty, that was a really, really healthy correction here from the top of 542. And then it went down. Try that again. It went down from there all the way down here. It was like a 47, almost 50% correction here, right? Remember when I was talking about it when it was going up here? I was like, it's getting a little too overheated here. The MNAV didn't make sense on it at all. Like, I think it's going to have to come back down a little bit. And sure enough, it did. Within a couple of days, it went down. And then traded sideways, and it went down even more here. So I think that might be the bottom there, possibly. At 286, we're at 377. We've definitely come back up here. Could we come back down even more? Maybe. I would say if you're going to look into getting a position in on this one, dollar cost average in onto it, because you just never know with these things. You don't know with any stock. You really don't know if it's going to come down a little bit more before it goes up higher. So that was kind of what I would do on it. Let's go back here. Let's see. Okay. Seb, do you see the Cornment interview on McNally Money today? Good data and enjoyed the conversation. No, I didn't see that one. Cornment interview? I don't even know what that is. That a miner? Or is that the CEO of, gosh, I don't know. I haven't seen that one, no. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Hi, Chow. I sold half my IREN today with a small profit after the dilution announcement. Do you believe IREN won't go as high as you thought? Thanks. It depends on how fast they dilute. Right, $1 billion dilution in 1 year would be rough. Unless Bitcoin really rallies fast and they actually get an HPCI deal or something like that, that could offset it possibly. But if that doesn't happen, then yeah, it might be rough for the stock to go up. I'm hoping that dilution is not for, maybe, well, I'm hoping that it's for like 2 to 3 years of dilution instead of a 1 year dilution thing, if that's the case. But we'll have to wait and see. Right now, we're kind of in limbo with not really knowing what's going on. Well, we kind of know what's going on and what they were doing. They're building out Clearwater site. They're doing increasing their hash rate. So we know a little bit what's going on there. But still, how hard will they pull on that ATM? That's going to be the big question there. So hopefully they do that right and let the stock go up some more before they, start kind of slowly pulling on that trigger there. What else here? Could you please give your feeling which miners have most to less upside for the balance of the cycle between now? That would be basically on the, I would say this is what I'd be looking at here. Let's go here, screen. I would be looking at the enterprise value of these guys and what they're getting per exahash. I think some of these guys, now there might be some things that are a reason why they're kind of low, right? Hive, great operator, everything else is great, not much growth, growing to about 15 exahash by the end of next year. It's good growth, but not great growth, right? We're seeing some others getting to 57 exahash, like IREN. Cleanspark's looking to get to 50 exahash plus as well. We don't know where Mara is going to get to, but that's definitely, roughly 4x of where Hive is going to be at. Right, so I think that might be the reason there. Hive moving to the United States with their headquarters might be a good catalyst there, so they might actually do pretty well. So there's a lot of things that you have to take a look into when you're analyzing which miners could do well. Bitfarms is also a little bit questionable here because, they're Canadian-based. Could they move to the United States when they buy Stronghold? Yes, potentially move their headquarters at least. Yes, that could be a good catalyst there for them. There's going to be dilution happening here when they do buy Stronghold. And then, the delayed timeline for getting to 21 exahash didn't help there either. So just those couple of things. So maybe that's the reason why they're kind of being valued the way they are. But then when you look at like IREN at 41 million, Cleanspark at 52 million, Riot at 77 along with Marathon, right? Those guys are going to be generating a heck of a lot of revenue, especially with the amount of hash rate that they have, HODL position and things like that going forward, compared to, where TeraWolf is right now at 325 million per exahash. That just seems way out of whack to me. Same thing with Bitdeer. I kind of understand, but I think it's still also a little overpriced here right now. Core 218 million. Well, we know they're going to be getting huge revenue coming in later on this year from CoreWeave. So, okay, that may be fine. Hut 8, still a little high for me there, right? Cypher seems pretty well priced right now, but the other ones like Marathon, Riot, Cleanspark, IREN, I think those guys are definitely the ones that might do the best, based on what I'm seeing here and the valuations on these guys. Some of these guys I believe are way overvalued, and some of these guys I believe are way undervalued. So we'll see if that plays out that way. I would think it would play out that way, but we'll see. All right, going back here. Let's see, question. Will companies ever start paying dividends in BTC? The age-old question there. I don't think so. The only reason I say that, unless the only way I could see this happening is if Bitcoin stays or continues to grow for a number of quarters. So where we have an extended cycle or just Bitcoin goes up, from this point forward for the next couple of years, right? If that happens, then I could possibly see them doing something where some companies might do a dividend. Because at that point, all they got to do is really exchange out for some of the older machines, buy newer ones, and they're still mining the same, probably, a little bit less. Is not where hash rate grows, but at least they can maybe keep up with it at least. And they're going to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue because Bitcoin price is going up continually. So I could see that as a possibility. But if we have a continuation of the cycles like we had in the past where Bitcoin drops 70%, then I think that's not going to bode well because the companies will have to use the cash that they're buying from mining to pay for operations. Basically, they're going to have to dilute to grow and things like that. So I don't see that happening at that point. Let's see. Victor has a question. When Trump approves the SBR and to start with, he converts the seized Bitcoin to the reserve and not buy more, would that be enough to push Bitcoin price high? Thanks. So if the 200,000 plus whatever that we have that are seized right now by the United States government, could that be enough? I don't know. I mean, I think that would be a good start, right? At least you know those 200,000 plus are not going to be sold or, sold in an auction possibly. So that would be a good start. But I don't think that would be a catalyst to go up. Unless you start seeing other countries going then, okay, well, they got 200,000 on their balance sheet. We need to start adding on to our balance sheet. And then if you get that happening, then you could possibly see Bitcoin going up, obviously, because of that. Let's see here. I'm shocked, Seb, when you swore. I swore. Did I swear? I said freaking cold. I didn't say the F word. I don't swear. If I did, it was a Freudian slip, I think is what they call it. Let's see. What is the percentage? What is the percentage change? The Cleanspark stock price at cycle peak of BTC 175 crosses $50 or $50, 75% or more, like 30%. So I'm trying to understand that. Okay, so if Bitcoin gets to 175,000, crosses $50 and 75% or more, like 30%. What are the chances? So 175,000 would be 75% increase from where we are roughly right now. If Cleanspark does at least a 2x on top of that, so we're looking at 150% from where they are right now. So then we're looking closer to probably like 25, what is it going to be, $25, $30? $30 maybe, 30, 35, somewhere around there. That would be like the low end side of things. Could it be higher than that? Yeah. Okay. So just for fun, could you please place an order of the following miners from most upside? Okay, we already talked about that. IREN, Cleanspark, Riot, Mawson, Hive. Right, there's so many different dynamics between these companies. Like IREN has HPCI potential along with Riot now. They're working towards that. Cleanspark is kind of like a pure play miner along with Mara. For the most part, Hive is a hybrid also. They have Bitcoin mining and HPCI that they're getting into. So it's tough depending if one of these companies like IREN or Riot gets a huge deal with an HPC, AI, hyperscaler or something like that, right? That could be a catalyst that drives these things up. If they don't get it, then I would think like some of the pure play miners like Cleanspark, even Mara, and even IREN itself is a large pure play miner themselves, getting to 57 exahash. So I think some of these guys might perform well. Riot right now not holding, but seizing their growth targets to only 37, 38 exahash, whatever it is for them. They have a large pot position as well, so that could also help them. I would think those guys would all do very well going forward, though. Okay, let's see here. Andrew says, don't blame Canada for, I'm just saying it's coming down from Canada. It's not Canada's fault. It's just the weather, yeah. Okay, Andre has a question here. Seb, do you check your tire pressure? If it's below freezing, your tire pressure will drop. Here it was 22 below yesterday. Yeah, my car has the display, shows the tire pressure. The tire pressure was fine. Everything else was fine. I was freaking out that maybe like the oil pressure was low or something like that. So I looked at all the gauges and my cluster, and everything was fine. I couldn't figure it out. I talked to one of my guys at work that's like a car guy. Like he fixes cars, he builds engines and things like that. He says most likely because of the cold, something, if the car doesn't warm up at a certain time frame, so I have an electric start on it. So I started up when I was going to lunch. I started up, let it run a little bit. He said if it doesn't warm up in a certain amount of time to a certain degrees, then it can throw a fault, I guess. So maybe that was the reason why. Okay. Question, do your earnings estimates include the depreciation of equipment? I included that in there as well, yes. I have both without it and with it, right? Depreciation is tough because we don't know how much they're going to depreciate. It's kind of an estimate, best guess estimate at that point, right? It could be higher, it could be lower, but more or less we can kind of see where they're at. Okay. From current prices of miners, can we expect 4x in price of BTC breaches 175,000? I would say I would go with 2x. If you get more than that, that's a bonus, right? If Bitcoin does that, yeah. Question this time, do you think the earnings in February are going to have a positive impact on miner stock prices? Last year they did. So a couple of miners provide actually good EPS numbers. So I think that's going to be the case. And we saw that also last cycle as well. So I'm hoping that's the case. All right. Question here, with MicroStrategy continuing offering more stock to buy BTC and gaining more sats per share, I am starting to wonder if those who purchase MicroStrategy might not sell and thus keeping the miners down. That is a possibility there. But we saw MicroStrategy, run up, front run Bitcoin a little bit here. Recently got up to $500 some odd, and it pulled back. So there is going to be profit taking happening regardless. You're not going to have everybody holding on to these things forever. You do have that rotation happening from time to time. How closely should the miners track BTC? BTC is in a tight 10% trading range, and the miners are doing smaller plus or minus dilution on or news. What am I missing? They should. They don't 100% track, 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. They sometimes front run it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes Bitcoin fronts run things. It's a shoot or miss kind of thing with the miners, unfortunately. But eventually, when Bitcoin does go run up, the miners providing good EPS results for quarterly results, that should, ramp them up. And that's going to be happening here in the next couple of weeks. So if that doesn't happen, where Bitcoin goes up, say, to 125,000 by the end of the quarter or 130,000, whatever it might be here, and miners are still flat or down, then I don't know what's going to actually make them move, especially when they're generating so much revenue here. So that's why I'm expecting them to move once they report quarterly results. Okay. What are your thoughts on Cleanspark's ability to diversify into AI data centers in the coming years? There's nothing stopping them from doing that. There's a lot of the sites that they have are smaller sites, right? 50 megawatts to like 100 megawatts to 200 megawatts even. They don't have a lot, which I think might be actually a good thing. But they're smaller sites, right? Could they get into other, I think you probably want to be closer to metropolitan areas with those things. So if you can get sites that are closer to metropolitan areas where you then could possibly have inference with HPC AI, that might be beneficial. So, there's really nothing stopping them other than actually going towards that route and what's what I'm looking for? Cognitively thinking about doing that. So we'll see. I'm tired of miners not pumping. What if price stagnate even if BTC price crosses 125,000 in the next few months? That's kind of what I talked about here just a second ago, right? Then I don't know what the heck's going on with them. They're not that. Yeah, that would be just crazy. It wouldn't make any sense. So we need to see what happens here in the next, I would say, probably a month or two. We'll have a much better feel for what's going on, especially once they report quarterly results. And if the quarterly results are good, how will they react to it at that point? And where is Bitcoin at that point? Is Bitcoin at 120,000, 130,000, where it might be? Did they actually go up nicely here? We'll see that. Okay. Question, who will capitulate first? Will shorts be forced to buy back their shares, or will longs give up and sell first? The longs, there's a lot of longs in there. You got a lot of companies or a lot of institutions that are invested in miners. A lot of these miners have 50, 60, 70% of institutional ownership. Those guys are probably long, but could they also be shorting them at the same time? Could be, right? Hedging their bets. All right. Do you think any of the 500 million being pushed to TeraWolf? Well, that's over a number of years, right? That's a possibility that could get there. Don't go by that number saying that's what we're going to get. It's I think it's $100 million. The 100 billion. Is it $100 billion? Something like that. I think it's like $100 billion the first year or two or something like that, and then they could increase that over time. Could they get part of it? Yeah, I don't see why not, depending on what they build out there. They're definitely building out their sites there. There's always a possibility there. I'm not going to say no at that point. What is your highest conviction miner if you had to put all your money at gunpoint into one miner? That would probably be Cleanspark. I think Cleanspark would be my number one conviction here going forward. And it has been for the last couple of years. Okay. Will we have 100,000 BTC and still be under $12 with the shorts? For which stock is that? Are you talking about like Mara or Cleanspark? I'm not sure which one you're talking about there. All right. Let's see. So DGHI, Digihost, has been on a nice rally lately. It hasn't been this high since April 2022. What is the catalyst? They have a deal with a nuclear, is it a small modular nuclear reactor or somebody that's a big guy there for some? I thought I saw something about that from one of you guys, and I also read something about it last week, I think it was. So something I think it has to do with that. Let's see. Question: did you see the CEO of IREN quote a tweet about the CNBC's segment on Stargate? Yeah, that wasn't it with Cantor analyst there, I believe it was. I saw that where he mentioned IREN and Riot could possibly get a portion of that, especially them being in Texas there. Yeah, I saw that. So I thought that was actually pretty good news there. Let's see, miners have a lot of cash in hand. Why do they still keep diluting when stock price is still low? When a lot of these guys are still growing, so that's why they have the cash in hand. The miners that, there's also, how do I put this? Over the last couple of years, there's been, I would say maybe 3 different types of miners. You have the miners that sell all the time. Then you have the miners that sell at the right time, but they also hodl at the right time. And then you have miners that just hodl throughout everything, right? Whether it's a bear market, bull run, whatever, they hodl everything and dilute you in the process because of it. So there's 3 types there. Now, when you still have cash and you're growing like a lot of these guys are, that's okay, right? But that's kind of what you're getting there. I'd love to see, and Cleanspark did this last cycle, I'd love to see a miner that actually does this again, where they start selling their Bitcoin stack into the bull run to then fund their growth into the bear market, potentially, if we have a bear market. If we don't have a bear market, then I don't know if you want to sell. You may want to hold on to that with Bitcoin. So you're kind of trying to forward look as far as what Bitcoin's going to do, and that's tough. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. So last time it worked out great for Cleanspark, I think. This time, but if they start selling it and Bitcoin continues to go up for a number of years, right, then it's kind of like, oh, man, we should have probably kept that Bitcoin and diluted little shares to do so. So it's tough. It's not something that's easily determinable, and you really need to do some analysis as far as where you think things are going to go. You need to probably be in contact with a lot of people that are in the space, institutions, market makers, all those guys, as far as what are they thinking to see where things are going to go. All right. Is there any sense in getting a rig or two and self-mining, just thinking as Bitcoin prices rise, is there more leeway to make money? I'll be honest with you, I don't think there is, unless you, look at it this way. What's your cost of electricity to be at home? 10 cents, 12 cents per kilowatt hour, something like that. If you have lower than that, then that makes a little bit more sense. But at those prices, it doesn't make sense. You can run the analysis on it, right? What's the Bitcoin price at right now? What's the machine going to generate for you on a daily basis, right? Right now, you're looking at maybe $3 to $5 a day in revenue. Right, if the machine costs you, because you're going to be buying basically spot machines, you're going to be paying $3,000 to $4,000 plus shipping, plus tariffs on top of it as well, import duty fees, whatever it might be. So you're looking at maybe all in at like $4,000 to $5,000 on this thing. How long is it going to take you to recoup that if Bitcoin just stays at where it's at, network hash rate stays at that point as well? So if we look at it here, let's just say 5,000 and you're generating $5 per day. Divided by $5, you're looking at 1,000 days. That's like 3 years to recoup that. Could that $5,000 be put into something else that goes 2x, 3x here in the next couple of months? I would say that's probably a better bet. So that's the way I would go. But there's Canon came out with a pretty interesting machine that's actually like a space heater, and you can mine it and then heat your house at the same time, or a small room basically. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm thinking about actually getting like one of those, because I actually have a space heater here running in the basement right now that's just costing me money. I got the bill for electricity this past month. It was over $350 just to help heat the basement, because the basement is, well, the basement's a cellar, it's a dungeon, not well insulated. So that might have helped offset at least a little bit of my costs there. If Bitcoin, if I hold on to the Bitcoin at least and it goes up over a month or two or something like that, that might help offset. So something to think about there. Okay, thoughts in IREN pumping today, even after dilution news yesterday. I heard somebody post that sometimes the money makers will actually pump a stock after such a news to then help possibly with the dilution. So, pulling on the trigger of the dilution over the ATM there. And I don't know. But it could be also that maybe there's a lot more. We saw Cantor Fitzgerald come out with their analysts saying that IREN and Riot might benefit from this HPCI investment deal that the government is saying that's happening there. So maybe that's part of it as well. Things like that. All right, here. Let's see. Do you think Bitfarms still dilute, or they completed as they announced in the conference? Do you believe they will announce another ATM like IREN? Oh gosh, I don't know. I think that they're probably funded to the 21 exahash right now. They're buying Stronghold, but that's going to be all shares deal basically. So that's just dilution there in shares, right? It's not like they're using the ATM. But after that, could they do another ATM? I think they're going to have to. So I think that would be coming down the line unless they do like a convertible note or something like that, convertible debt. All right. Once Bitcoin starts pumping, do you think MicroStrategy again massively outperforms miners moving forward? Okay, I would say no, but I could be wrong on that. Then the reason I think that is MicroStrategy should be historically at least a 2x on Bitcoin. At times it does front run Bitcoin and the miners quite tremendously, where it can go up 3 to 4x. But then it pulls back, right? Kind of like we saw here recently. Went up to $500 some odd, came back. It got a little too overheated. It needed to come back down. And now it's at what? What is the NAV on that? The NAV, what is it, like 1.8, I think it is, on it, something like that. So that's a lot more healthy position than where it was before. Okay. Question or suggestion, ask someone to upload daily short count. I don't have that information for the daily short count on it. I get it every 2 weeks. I think you have to have a paid service to get the daily on it. I don't have that right now. If anybody else has it, yeah, if you want to upload that or send it to me, I'll share it on X if anything, if you do have that. That'd be fantastic. All right, let's see. The SBR reported is a bit of a deception. Most states are only resolving to discuss digital assets, not exclusively BTC. The details are in the individual state filings, Dennis Porter admit. That might be the case, yeah, but still moving the ball forward. At least we're having those discussions where we haven't in the past. At least in the past, it was the government was against Bitcoin, any kind of crypto, anything like that. With the prior administration, at least this administration, what we're seeing here is it's more open-minded. So even the SEC now is having a, what are they doing there? What's it called? Exploratory or something like that, into providing guidance for the industry here. So, or a task force. They did a task force to do that. So it's getting better. Let's see. Riot versus BitDeer. Which is the better buy at current levels for max gain? Okay, I think BitDeer has had a nice run up here recently. A very good run up. Whereas Riot, I think, is still under. So I would say maybe Riot, potentially. Question, when should we start seeing Q4 results come out? I think we'll see them earlier on from like Hive and Cleanspark, because they don't have to have the audited numbers for them, because they're going into like a regular quarter, whereas some of the, I think majority of the other ones are going into their fiscal year end for Q4. So those are going to have to be audited. Those always take a little bit longer, but we should see probably like the first week of February. I think we're going to start seeing some results come out from like Hive and Cleanspark, and then others will follow after that. Okay, let's see here. Nice screensaver. Where did you download it from? Which screensaver was that? Was that the city and the movement there? Is that what you're talking about? That's from Apple. It comes with the system there. All right, let's see here. Cormint is data systems. Okay, small private miner in Texas going public this year. Good data on power cost management. Okay, I have to take a look into them and see what's going on with those guys there. Let's see what else do I have here. Do you think Hive will at least do a 5x from here? I know that they're way undervalued. It's possible. It might be possible for them. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's at least. I would say maybe towards the top end of things. Maybe, it's hard to tell. We'll have to see how we'll have to wait and see what the effect is on them moving to the United States for their headquarters. How much do they actually benefit from that? That might be one of the reasons they might go up to 5x. Okay, what else are here? Question, when Trump approves the SBR and to start with, he converts the seized Bitcoin to the reserved and not buy more, would that be enough to push Bitcoin? All right, okay, we already covered that one. It depends, right? So if they put it on the seized Bitcoin as a strategic Bitcoin reserve, do other countries then follow and start putting Bitcoin on there? So that could be catalyst to pump Bitcoin up at that point. Question, what are your top 3 undervalued miners? Those would be based on the Exahash and EV, enterprise value. You got basically at that point, let me look at it here really quick as well. Point this out again. We do this every couple of minutes, it seems like. But here's, take a look at this. These are the ones that are undervalued. IREN, Cleanspark, Riot, Marathon. Cypher, I think, is pretty well valued right now. Maybe it's still a little bit undervalued, but some of the other ones are more overvalued. Hive, definitely undervalued. Bitfarms, in my opinion, still undervalued. But both Canadian miners, Hive is moving to the United States, right? Bitfarms could move to the United States when they buy Stronghold there. We'll have to wait and see what happens with those guys. But those are the ones that I see as being undervalued right now. All right, let's go back here. Okay. Any chance government can just fund the reserve by seizing Bitcoin from others? Well, if they do it they could put out a law saying that any Bitcoin seized is going to go into the reserve. Like, that's a possibility there. But I don't want them seizing my Bitcoin. As long as everything's done legally, they can't just seize your Bitcoin. But what if you could pay like taxes in Bitcoin, or what if you could pay other things in Bitcoin and just hold on to that? There's many ways you could do it. Hi, Seb. Thoughts on CORZ specifically? Do you think there is a bottom for them to hit still, or do you think it's already been hit? CORZ Scientific, let's take a look at that. See what's going on here with CORZ Scientific's down. It was down to 18. I think bottom might be in. I mean, it's bounced off the 100 simple day moving average twice here. It looks like maybe 3 times even. 4 times I'm looking at it right now. That might be the bottom on it. We're getting close to them also generating revenue from CoreWeave, right? That's going to be happening towards the end of the first half here. So that's getting closer. I think the bottom might be in. I mean, it's had a nice run up here in the last 6 days, even though Bitcoin's been going down and things like that at certain points, but this thing just keeps going up. So there's definitely a lot of interest in this one, which I understand. Huge revenue potential going forward. That's kind of where I would see things, or where I see things right now, at least. All right, going back here. Okay. Question, you said yesterday that IREN diluted 50% based on the market cap, but 1 billion in shares would need 90 million shares. That would bring the share count to 286 million, and the 90 million equals 1/3. Well, I said that based on the market cap. Market cap was like 2.1 billion or something like that. I said it's basically 50% of the market cap at that point. So dilution-wise, that's kind of how I figured it out. But it'd be like 50%, more or less, right? Am I thinking that right way? Or do I have things mixed up? Okay. Thoughts on Trump's silence on Bitcoin crypto? I feel the government will stack now and not announce. This will be the case going forward, and why not? I mean, it is definitely a possibility. They could stack if they wanted to and not announce it. Front run everybody, get to 500,000 Bitcoin, and then announce it. Hey, we got a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's definitely a possibility. Other people, was it? What's the guy from CEO of Coinbase? Armstrong. Drawing a blank on his first name, though. I think he said that there's like a 50-50 chance that we get an SBR here within the next year or something like that, possibly. We'll see on that one. Okay. Okay, here, thinking about the final miner run-up, do you think they will meet the previous all-time highs or break through them? Cleanspark became a miner recently, but Mara and Riot. Yeah, Mara and Riot got to like $80. Riot got up to, what was it, like 70 some odd dollars, I think it was, last cycle. Cleanspark just became a miner in January of that year when Bitcoin rallied to 69,000 in the last cycle, right? So that was only a couple months away. So I wouldn't really look at Cleanspark as an example of where the top was for them. But Mara and Riot could, I mean, Mara is not too far off right now as it is. It's still a ways. It's $20, right? So you need at least a 4x on Mara to get there. If Bitcoin goes to 200,000, imagine what their value of the HODL that they have right now. That's going to double. EPS should be outstanding. They possibly could do that. Riot, same thing. They increased their HODL position. They're much larger when it comes to Bitcoin mining as well. It's just we need Bitcoin to go like 200,000, 250,000 at this point in order to accomplish that possibly. As long as the shorts don't, stick onto those shorts too long. Okay, let's see. Seb, have you tracked when miners pumped relative to when they reported earnings? My quick look seems it was after they started profit. We are still early this cycle, but close. I mean, I think we looked at it a while back, and it was like right around this time when the miners would start going up, because they're getting close to reporting here. They would slowly start going up, and then once they reported, they would have a nice run up. Okay, let's see. Will BTC miners be attractive for a buyouts if SBR triggers an arms race to capture max BTC? Oh man, I didn't even think about that. So let's say we do get an SBR, right? The United States is going to be buying Bitcoin to get whatever it might be, 1 million BTC on the reserve, whatever it might be. At that point, would it be advantageous for somebody to buy them out to mine Bitcoin at a much lower price? Maybe, right? If Bitcoin goes up to like 700,000, 800,000 in the next couple of years, then maybe, right? Somebody else that's bigger might buy them out. I don't know, but right now, it might be tough. But it's definitely interesting, something to think about for sure. Let's see. Question, Eric. Trump met with Loomis yesterday to discuss SBR. Tweeted the meeting happened, then deleted the tweet. Thoughts? Did you read about it? I thought I heard something about it. I don't think I read it, but I thought I heard something about it. So that is definitely interesting there. Cynthia Loomis is definitely working on something. Can she get something approved and have the president sign it in the next 100 days? I'd love to see it, but we'll see. Okay. Will all miners dilute? Yeah, all miners will dilute unless Bitcoin really starts running up here and for a lot longer cycle. So next couple of years, it continues to go up without those nasty 70% drops. If it happens, then at that point, we might not need to dilute. But if we have another cycle where it goes down 70%, then the miners will dilute. They'll use the ATMs. They'll use the convertible notes or whatnot. Okay, Omar says, comment, miner short data January 15th coming out this Monday. Okay, cool. So we'll definitely cover that at that point. Yeah, I've been looking at that almost like daily here, trying to see if we have the latest data. So that would be great. Let's see here. Sarmel Giving says, if you want crazy miner returns, build a time machine and go back and buy in 2020 and sell during the 2021 bull run. These companies have diluted investors into the ground. That's why no one wants them. Well, institutions, then why are institutions buying them? That's the question for you. Why would institutions buy them and own such a large portion of them as well? Let's see. Question here. Why is it that the good YouTube mining analysts can't change their thesis on the miners and just admit this time is different and the trading investment liquidity went elsewhere? Because we're not done with the cycle. Once we're done with the cycle, and Bitcoin goes, let's say we have a similar cycle like last time, Bitcoin goes down 70%. And at that point, we will see, were we right, were we wrong? Right now, I think we're still like getting close to the end, but we're not at the end yet. We still have about, I'd say maybe we're like 50% in this cycle. So if we do end up at the end of the cycle where the miners were like dog poop, I'll definitely admit it, right? Definitely wrong on it. I'm not above that. I will definitely admit it if that was wrong at that point. Question here. I don't think it would be wise for the U.S. to have a Bitcoin reserve when there's a Japanese man out there with 80% of the supply who can dump it all in one day. Talking about Satoshi Nakamoto? Yeah, if he would have dumped, he would have dumped already. I think those coins are lost. That's all done for. Let's see. Comparing previous cycles is difficult, but relative to BTC price, doesn't it need to be 140,000 to equal previous cycle top 1/2 daily BTC or more due to hash rate? I would have to look at it, possibly. I know what you're saying there, though. I get what you're saying. And that's why a lot of people think that the last cycle was actually subdued. Bitcoin China ban, right? Bitcoin mining China ban happened first. Then we had basically FTX, everything else, Luna, Terra Luna, all that stuff happened as well. So it was maybe a diluted cycle last time. Let's see. What do you think of Cleanspark being protected from dilution until 24 via the convert? I'm not an expert on options and converts and all that stuff. But based on what I understand on this, the way that they're hedging themselves, I thought it was good. We'll see how it plays out. Heinze here. Question, sorry I'm late. No worries, friend. Can I ask a quick rundown? We quitting Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, and all miners. Thanks, Seb. No, we're not quitting them. Quick rundown was, let me see here. Cleanspark production is down because of weather. What else do we have here? Larry Fink thinks Bitcoin's going to go to 700,000 if sovereign funds buy 2.5% to like 5%. What else do we have here? Mara, Fred Thiel there is working with states to get strategic Bitcoin reserve. And I think that was it. I'm not sure if I missed anything else. And then we have 12 states already that are talking about SBR. Let's see here. Seb, how low do you think IREN should drop with 1 billion dilution? Well, what do you get for that dilution? Are you getting something for it at least? If you're getting HPCI deal, then it might not drop. It might actually go way up. So that's a problem there. Dilution can be a good thing. I mean, look at all these other companies out there. I'm not comparing the miners to like an Amazon or a Google, but what did they have to do in the beginning in order to grow their operations and everything else? They diluted the crap ton out of investors, right? I mean, a lot of these companies now have billions of, I think they did the billions because they did a stock split or something like that to make it less costly for people to possibly buy the stock. But nonetheless, they diluted a crap ton. Right, the first, first 10 years of Amazon or more were not profitable. They were just throwing everything into growth and diluting shareholders in the process. But then after that, I mean, if you held on to it, right, I'm not saying you're going to hold on to miners for 10 years, especially if we have the similar cycles like in the past, but you get the point, right? So as long as you're getting something for it, I think it's a good thing. Okay, what are your thoughts on moving to something like QYLD or SPY after you have made life-changing money with miners? That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to put quite a bit into like the S&P 500 or something like that. One of those things. Look maybe into some stocks that pay really good dividends as well. Something like that. Invest in maybe real estate as well. We'll look at it when we get to that point. All right. Aren't the same institutions that are buying BTC miners also shorting them, or I have, no, I think that's the case. I think, yeah, it's kind of funny. I think that's also happening there. They're also going long like on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy maybe, and they're hedging their bets with the miners. But yeah, they're definitely playing both sides of the aisle here. Okay, question. I think Satoshi's address only have roughly like 5% of supply. Yeah, doesn't it have, is it a million BTC? I don't even think it's a million BTC. It might be a million, somewhere around there. Let's see. Bang Bang says, something that I personally think would be awesome to see is a U.S. government and miners cooperating to benefit both parties, subsidize the miners, and miners in turn help create BTC strategic reserve. I don't know. Yeah, but what do we get for it as far as investors? That's the big question there. Let's see here. Andre, by the way, there are 1 or 2 guys who changed their names and are here just to spread FUD. Why not ban them? I'm all for free speech. If you agree with me, great. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear from you as well. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not saying that I'm right 100% of the time. God knows I'm not 100% right all the time. We're just here to communicate. We're here to talk, discuss, think things through a little bit, and it's all good, right? It's all good as long as it's not hateful speech or anything like that. No worries. Okay, comment here. I think that 140,000 is when BTC confirms an uptrend. Before that, we are just working to get back to the top relative to mining activity with 1/2 BTC each day, and any merit in this thought. Relative mining activity with 1/2 BTC each day. I don't know. I'm trying to see if I follow. Relative to mining activity with 1/2 BTC each day. I don't know. I really don't know. Question. Thoughts on when the BTC reserve would be implemented? Would be nice to have as a tailwind for Cleanspark earnings. Apologies if you've covered this already. Yeah, we don't know when that's going to be implemented, right? Cynthia Loomis is working on a bill potentially there for it. Just trying to build up support for it. When could that happen? I mean, it could happen within the first 100 days. It could happen this first year. It could happen in the next 2 years. We really don't know. But it does seem like we have definitely a pro-crypto administration this time around. So anything is possible. We'll only have to wait and see how things play out at this point. And I think I've caught up to all your guys' questions here, which is nice because we're going on over about an hour here. So we're looking good here. All right, we'll see what happens tomorrow with the miners and everything else. Bitcoin, see where that goes as well. And anything else that happens in the space. Yeah. So really appreciate you guys coming in here. Love you all. Have a great night. And we'll talk about whatever happens tomorrow. Until then, bye.